During this week in Pokemon Go, we are going to be getting the long-awaited Spring into Spring event, and we're also going to be getting a raid day featuring a couple of Pokemon that we do not know yet, and we're also getting some really good raid bosses in 5-star raids. I'm going to be going over all of this in today's video. Let's get right into it. Alright, what's happening everyone? Count Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So this week in Pokemon Go is actually going to be filled with some pretty good content. We are getting ourselves the Spring into Spring event, which is going to feature a brand new Pokemon, as well as boosted shiny rates for a couple of Pokemon that we haven't seen in a while. And we're also going to be getting a raid day featuring 2 different Pokemon. They're calling it the Sparring Partners Raid Day, but we still do not have any information regarding this raid day. And I do suspect that Niantic is going to be sharing the details for this raid day sometime this week, so you should definitely pay attention to that. But we're also going to be getting some raid bosses coming this week, which I'm actually really excited about. And we're also going to be seeing their shiny debuts. So yeah, with all that said, let's talk about the Spring into Spring event, and then I'm also going to be sharing some of the things this week that you need to pay attention to. The Spring into Spring event is going to start on April 9th at 10 o'clock a.m. local time, and it's going to go until April 14th at 8 o'clock p.m. local time. The featured Pokemon for this event is going to be the brand new Pokemon Gossifleur, along with its evolved form Eldegoss. Both of these Pokemon are going to be obtainable for the very first time through this event, and you will not want to miss out on them. First up, let's talk about what's going to be hatching in eggs during this event. In 2km eggs, you're going to be able to hatch Magby, Budu, or Mantike, and then in 5km eggs, you're going to have access to Remoraid, Fletchling, as well as the new Pokemon Gossifleur. But next, let's talk about the wild encounters, because this is where this event gets interesting. First, throughout the entirety of the event, you're going to be able to see Remoraid, Fletchling, and Gossifleur in the wild, and both Remoraid and Fletchling are going to have an increased shiny chance, which is actually pretty good. Something you should keep in mind regarding these boosted shiny chances is that it's not revealed what the actual shiny chances are going to be. When they say that they're increasing the shiny chance, they could be increasing it by a very minimal amount, or it's going to be something that will actually be noticeable. We really cannot tell until this event actually starts, but typically it's not necessarily going to be a highly boosted rate. You're still going to have a hard time getting these shinies, but at the very least they're not going to be the full odds. But next, let's talk about what's going to be spawning in the wild aside from these 3 Pokemon, and they're basically going to be switching it up every 2 days. So between April 9th at 10 o'clock a.m., which is when the event starts, until April 10th at 11:59 p.m., you're going to see Marill, Lotad, Ducklet, Dewpider, as well as Lapras as an uncommon spawn. As you may have noticed, these are all water-type Pokemon, and even though this is a spring event, it's typically not themed around a particular type, but Niantic is definitely trying out something new here, and I'm all for it. But yeah, it doesn't end there. So between April 11th at midnight until April 12th at 11:59 p.m., you're going to see a bunch of fire types. Vulpix, Ponyta, Numel, Litleo, and Hisuian Growlithe are all going to be spawning in the wild. And then afterwards, from April 13th at midnight until April 14th at 8 o'clock p.m. local time, which is when the event ends, you're going to see a whole bunch of grass types. These include Oddish, Hoppip, Roselia, Cherubi, as well as Alolan Executor as an uncommon spawn. So yeah, I think this is actually really interesting, and I think it's going to go over well with the Pokemon Go community. I mean, it's not often that you see them switch out the event spawns midway through an event, and every time they do that, it actually goes over pretty well, because by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th day of an in-game event, it tends to get very boring and cumbersome because you're basically seeing the exact same Pokemon every single day with very little diversity. So I really like this idea, and I really hope it goes over well so they could try it again in a future event. But yeah, let's talk about the event bonuses which are going to be active during this event. We're going to have double the duration for any lucky egg that you use. Any Pokemon that you hatch is going to give you double the amount of candy, and then every egg that you place in incubators during this event is going to have a half egg hatch distance. And then you're going to have an increased chance to get shiny Remoraid and shiny Fletchling, which is something that I mentioned already. And then there's going to be a paid time to research during this event, which is going to cost $2 USD, or the equivalent pricing in your local currency, and you're going to get 5,000 experience, 1 lucky egg, 2 super incubators, as well as encounters with Remoraid, Fletchling, and the new Pokemon Gossifleur. I'm not sure if these are going to be the boosted shiny spawns, just like the ones you're going to encounter in the wild, but I would assume so. So if you want to get yourself a high IV of either Remoraid or Fletchling, you might be able to get one through the purchase of this ticket. But do keep in mind, it's not going to be guaranteed. It's going to be pure RNG. If you feel like one lucky egg and 2 super incubators are worth $2, then yeah, that would be the only reason why you would want to buy this ticket. And then of course, just like with most other in-game events, there's going to be field research tasks, collection challenges, as well as Pokestop showcases during this event, and it's all going to be themed around the wild encounters. Next up, let's talk about PvP. So within the Go Battle League, we're going to have the Open Great League along with the Master Premier League up until this Tuesday, April 8th. And then afterwards, we're going to have the Ultra League along with the Spring Cup Great League Edition. If you have any good teams for any of these leagues, it would be a good time to do some battles because this season is going to end fairly soon, so you will want to get your ranks in before the season ends. Next, let's talk about what this Tuesday Spotlight Hour is going to be. It's going to be featuring the Pokemon Metatite, and it's going to be happening between 6 o'clock p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. local time, and we're also going to have a double candy bonus for transferring Pokemon. This is one of the most underrated bonuses for Spotlight Hours because it's a great time for you to get a whole bunch of candies for legendary Pokemon. If you have a whole bunch of legendaries stocked up in your account, then it's a good time to transfer those Pokemon so that you can get double the candy. And then next, let's talk about the rating content. So until April 9th, we're going to continue to have Tapu Lele in 5-star raids, but we're going to have Stakataka and Blacephalon afterwards until the end of the week. And both of these Pokemon are going to see the debut of their shiny forms. That is something you should definitely keep in mind. Now, considering that these are going to be the legendaries that will be in raid battles after April 9th, that means this Wednesday's raid hour is also going to be featuring both of these Pokemon. It's going to be happening on Wednesday, April 9th from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. local time, and depending on your region, you're going to have either Stakataka in the Eastern Hemisphere or Blacephalon in the Western Hemisphere. And then in terms of Mega Evolution raids, we're going to continue to have Mega Blaziken in raids until April 9th, but afterwards we're going to have Mega Sceptile in Mega Evolution raids. If you need the Mega Energy for either of these Pokemon, you should definitely raid for them because both of them are actually really good when it comes to raid DPS. And then on the weekends for Shadow Legendary raids, we're going to continue to have Shadow Registeel. It's actually a pretty good Shadow Legendary Pokemon, and you can potentially get its shiny form. So if you want to get yourself a shiny Shadow Registeel, get a whole bunch of friends together and go and complete some 5-star Legendary Shadow raids on the weekend. And then let's close this off by talking about what's going to be tonight's Max Monday. So between 6 o'clock p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. local time, you're going to see a whole bunch of Dynamax Passimian. So yeah, this is going to be a phenomenal week. The Spring into Spring event is definitely one to look forward to, and I'm really excited for the re-release of Stakataka and Blacephalon. And getting their shiny forms is definitely going to be a treat. I think a lot of players are going to focus in on these raids because, on top of them being somewhat meta-relevant, their shiny forms are definitely some of the coolest in the game. So yeah, expect there to be a lot of 5-star rating during this week. I think it's a good time to use some of your stockpiled raid passes. It's definitely going to be a really good time. And I really hope this Sparring Partners raid day ends up being something really cool. Every time they do a raid day, it tends to be a huge hit or miss. Recently, we got Mega Audino raid day, and I did not really see a lot of enthusiasm behind that raid day. But with this new raid day, there is a high potential that they could draw a lot of players to come out and play. We'll just have to wait and see what Pokemon are going to be featured, but I do suspect it's going to be something really cool. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Is there anything in particular this week that you are looking forward to? Definitely share what that is, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, if you want to support everything that I do, the best way you could do that is by joining my Patreon. If you become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids, opening and sending gifts, different things like that. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you're always welcome to do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on the bottom of your screen, make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and you'll have access to some exclusive content. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and love yourself today, and I'll catch you all later.
진솔아와 함께해